Hi, I'm going to talk about this interesting paper, Mortality in Rats Exposed to Microwave Radiation at 0.95 gigahertz, 2.45 gigahertz, 4.54, and 7.44 gigahertz. It's a 1974 study. Over here in the title, it's spelled with an R, mortality. Okay, so I'm gonna go down. They have, I think it's 1,400 rats, and they expose them to microwave radiations. And then they have all these tables. So in this table, they expose rats to 2.45 gigahertz, which is the cooking microwave frequency at 3,000 watts per meter per centimeter, at 3 watts per centimeter squared. And so they have many tables, 2.45 at 2 watts per centimeter squared. So 2 watts per centimeter square, since a meter has 100 centimeters, a meter square has 100 times 100, which is 10,000 centimeters square. So if you want to get converted between 2 watts and 2.9 watts per centimeter square to how many watts per meter square, you'll multiply by 10,000. So this would be 2 times 10,000 is 20,000 watts per meter square. So that's 20 kilowatts per meter square. The sun at noon on the equator, it's 1,000. So this would be 20 times as strong as the sun radiation. So this is a lot of radiation. And for this table, we see that the number of rats, they had 15, and they exposed these ones to 16.5, and 2/3 of them died. So you usually want to look at 50% LD50, lethal dose 50. So over here they have what it is. So exposure time 17.3 seconds. So for 20 times stronger than the sun, exposing them to for 17 seconds, half of the rats died at 20 kilowatts per meter squared at 2.5. So kind of that's how long it takes to cook a rat, I guess, in the microwave, because it's some cooking microwave frequency. Well, not cooking, but okay. So there's more of these tables. The interesting thing is the graph they have at the end. So this is less, which is kind of what we want, less, um, because we're interested in kind of 5G. How much would a 5G beam expose people to? 5G phones range from about 18 gigahertz to 39 gigahertz. So this is only 2.45, and we only got up to 7.5, 7.4 gigahertz in this paper. So we can't really conclude that much, but that's the only thing we have. So we got more tables, and I'm looking for that graph that shows exposure times for the different frequencies and different powers. Okay, so over here, So round full circles are 4.54 gigahertz, and it shows that for 6 watts per centimeter squared, exposure time for LD50, where half the rats died, is about 18 seconds. So 6 watts per centimeter square times 10,000, 60,000, so 60 kilowatts per meter squared. So that's 60 times as powerful as the sun radiation for 18 seconds is going to kill half the rats. It's, it's a lot of 60 times the sun is a lot, but in 18 seconds, it's like instant flashing of light. So this is for 4.54 gigahertz. So this is just a little less than 5 gigahertz you can get on your Wi-Fi. You can switch it between 2.4 and 5. So we got 4.54, which is almost 5, and 2.45, which is also a frequency you got on your Wi-Fi. And this is the diamond one. So for the diamond, for the same amount of time, 18 seconds, you need less power. Instead of 6 watts per centimeter square, you only need about 2.9 or something like that. So that's 29 kilowatts per meter squared. Only 29 as strong as the sun. So like half when you switch between 4.54 and 2.45. So if you got a Wi-Fi router, according to these kind of super deadly high power health effects, you'd want to go with 5 gigahertz because it's safer. In the paper over here, it says that the cells dissipate the heat faster for the higher frequency, so it's safer to go higher frequency. But for some strange reason, the 7.44 gigahertz is between the between the 4.54 gigahertz and the 2.45 gigahertz. So the 4.54 gigahertz is the safest at these super high power levels. And then it's a 7.44, and then it's 2.45, and the 0.95 gigahertz, which is 0.9, is in cordless phones. I used to have a cordless phone with 900 megahertz, which is 0.9 gigahertz. And cordless phones now might be the same. And that's the most dangerous, so you'll need to expose it for like 2 seconds at that long wavelength. Long wavelength, small gigahertz. And I was saying about the 7.44 that it's strange that it's in between, even though it's a higher frequency, which should be safer. On this graph, it shows that the 7.44, they estimate that eventually it's going to be safer. So at longer exposure times, so 300, let's see, 400 seconds, at 400 seconds, well, maybe 500 seconds, these two lines meet, and the 7.44 4 is going to cross the 4.54. So for longer exposure times, LD50 eventually it's going to be safer, I guess, supposedly. So I'm going to talk about 5G phones. I think the regular 4G and 3G phones now go only up to 2 watts, but the 5Gs, I've read someplace, are going to be up to 20 watts. I'm not sure if Australia only saw in one place, but that's 10 times more. And if you figure that the 5G phones transmit, I could draw a picture. So if you got a phone here, it's got a transmitter like that, and the 5G phones transmit kind of like a beam on the outer side, so the screen is on that side, and they transmit a beam like that. So regularly it's nice because if your head is here, you don't get any exposure. But if you turn your head around, your phone around, you're going to get a lot of exposure. You're going to get like 10 times as much exposure, because usually if it's exposed for the regular 4G, you have a sphere, so you have like 4 pi r squared, the surface area of the sphere. So for the 5G, you only have like a portion of it, and for like about 60 degrees, something like that angle, you get maybe like 1/10. So it's all the power goes into only 1/10 of the whole sphere, because it only radiates on one beam on the side. So that's 20 watts. That's 10 times more powerful, because it's 20 watts instead of 2 watts currently for 4G. And then it's going to be like 200 watts, because it's 10 times more powerful, because it's only on one side. So if you, let's say this is like 10 by 10 centimeters, and you put it 10 centimeters away from you, and it's about like 60 degrees over here, so it's like 10 times more powerful. I mean, you get like 200 watts. I mean, you get 20 watts per 10 by 10. So 20 watts, 10 times. So if you want a meter, so we calculate how much is a meter. It's like 10 times of that. So 10 times 10 is 100. So you get 20 watts times 100. So you get 2,000 watts per meter squared. So that's twice as powerful as the sun. If you put your 20 watts telephone 10 centimeters away from your head. So that's really powerful, thermal, powerful. And the thing about these frequencies, they're not light or infrared. These are powerful frequencies that act upon cells, and they damage cells at powers a lot less than the sun. So for like 1/10 the sun, the power of the sun, I don't know if it's in this paper. Uh, it's like very dangerous. So these are so high over here. It's only 60 seconds if we had like 5 minutes or something. So this is 20 times the sun. So that's 10 times of what we had there in the picture for twice as powerful as the sun at 10 centimeters. So for 10 times that, I mean, the rats die in 60 seconds. So you want to talk on the phone for like many days or hours or minutes, not just 60 seconds, and have it fry you. So, I mean, 10 times more. Yeah, it's more, but I mean, what? You're going to talk for like 10 minutes and it's going to fry you. That means that you can talk 10 minutes more. Of course, these rats were exposed the whole body, but another thing about 5G is the tower. The tower is the 5G tower broadcasts kind of like a beam. It's got some secondary little beams, I think, because they can't make the phase array that good. I think it might be 5 degrees or something. I don't know. It's hard to find this information. And you're over here because you're pretty close. And you got your phone. So it exposes your whole body. So it's got like a laser beam of 18 to, depending what company it is, or I don't know frequencies it used, but 18 to 39 gigahertz. So your lungs are going to get it. And your whole body's going to get it, just like these rats. And it could be a powerful beam. And there are actually no detectors for like over like 20 gigahertz. Most detectors only stop at 10 gigahertz you can buy. So we don't even know how powerful they got these towers because there are no detectors. I saw one detector that got 18 gigahertz. Some kind of graphic analyzer might be expensive, so there's no cheap ones over 10 gigahertz. So I don't know. The radio stations have like 100,000 watts of power, they say. So hopefully they don't broadcast 100,000 watts beam to people because that would be a lot. That would just fry them instantly. So it shouldn't be that high. But even with whatever, even with point 100 kilowatts, let's say per meter squared, it's still gonna fry you in like, I don't know, a few hours or something. It's that dangerous. Really. I mean, it should be low. With the regular 4G towers, they emit everywhere, so you just get like a little bit of radiation. So this, I mean, if it's not made well to transmit only a little bit of power to you, then it's going to be very dangerous. I don't know if it even can transmit a little power because I think the beams go like this or something like that. I don't know. So if you're closer, it might be a lot more powerful. If you're like over here, it might be a lot more powerful than if you're here. I don't know if it can adjust itself so that you don't get fried if you come closer to the tower over here. And I want to talk about, let me see if I can find a find over here. Find, um, what is it? Animals categorized as dead on removal from the exposure box usually showed a foamy mucous nasal discharge and were either limp or in convulsions. So this much radiation causes convulsions, which are seizures. So I think this is exactly what you see with some of those people in Wuhan, who supposedly die from coronavirus. So convulsions. So they look like they're spasming, and some of them, I saw them with a phone in their hand or a computer when they start spasming. So I wonder. Um, and they have 10,000 antennas there. So, and I mean, this is kind of the first experimental start of 5G. So maybe they just don't quite have it right, and somehow accidentally they get exposed to a lot of radiation from the tower or from the phone or from the laptop. There's new Wi-Fi's now that broadcast at I think it's between 57 and 70 gigahertz. So the ones we got now are only 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, but the new ones are 57 to 70 gigahertz, and 60 gigahertz there's a peak where oxygen absorbs the energy, the 60 gigahertz photons, the electromagnetic waves. So I think your hemoglobin can't grab this oxygen if it's bombarded with 60 gigahertz. So you got problem with your lungs. So I don't know if in China they got the new 60 gigahertz Wi-Fi, but I think the towers are maybe enough. They're definitely enough to fry people. They fry their lungs and maybe their brains. What else? I was gonna say something else. I'm not really interested in materials and methods here because we're not doing an experiment. Stanford Research Institute, Menlo Park, U.S. Army Mobility Equipment Research and Development Center. It's 1974. It shows someplace. I wish I had a paper like this for up to 70 gigahertz. I don't know if anybody finds one. That would be great. Or any other males, rats. They had a lot of rats. 0.95 to 0.44, 0.45, 7.44 gigahertz. 0.2 watts per centimeter squared to 12 watts per centimeter squared. Well, that's about all I have to say. Thank you.